This conference will now be recorded.
As we know that runoff is also one of the part of the hydrological cycle. So we will try to understand what is the importance of this uh, hyd runoff in the hydrology. Just wait. Okay. So runoff. What is runoff? We understand it very well because in the last two chapters we have already seen this, right? But still I will draw the diagram and it will be more clear. Or see here. As we know that, see, this is suppose our earth surface and here it is something like a river and this one is say there is some tree, right? So what happens when rainfall occurs? So rainfall means that is one of the form of the precipitation. So rainfall is generally denoted by P. So what happens? Some of the part goes into the soil and this is called as infiltration, right? This is called as infiltration. We have seen already, but here infiltration means again infiltration means just it is the process of traveling of water into the soil, right? So here what happens when water comes into the soil, when it will be at just a top surface, it will not go into like in very depth. Then we say that, see, suppose here water is here just near the surface of the earth. This is suppose surface. This is our surface, right? And this is a river. Here it is water available, right? So when water comes and it will be just near the surface, then we say that this is called as seepage flow or prompt interface. Prompt interface. Or it is also called as seepage. It is also called as seepage flow. Right. Now what happens? See, as rainfall occurs, some of the part is going into the water. That in general we say that is this process is like it is infiltration I, right? But again, if I will say that infiltration in detail, so when this water is just near the surface of the earth, then it is called as prompt interface. And when this water some goes into some more depth, right? It will go somewhere here. And see here, there will be some water level. Water level. We say that is the water table, right? This is suppose there will be the some water and this water will meet to the water table, right? So when this water goes into depth and meet to the water table, then it is called as base flow. It is called as base flow. I hope it will be clear what I am saying now. So what happens? Some part of after see this capacity is over, the capacity of soil becomes saturated, and the whole soil becomes saturated. Then what happens? Then after what happens? Even if the rainfall is continue, then some part of the water goes into the river that is called as runoff and it is represented by R, right? This is called as runoff and this is represented by R, right? Now, runoff is clear. We have already seen this. Some of the part precipitation is represented by P. Some of the water goes inside. It is called as I. And some part of water flows. That is called as runoff. That is represented by R. This is the basic thing. Now, if we will go into depth, like here, runoff after infiltration, remaining precipitation on the surface is called as runoff. What I told you here, once this whole soil will be filled with water, then it will not accept any quantity of water. They will not accept, and then what will happen? This water will flow and it will go into the river, right? This is the river. This is the river. So then this phenomena is called as runoff. Now again, if I will talk about the runoff, so here there are the components of runoff, or I can say that runoff is divided into two categories, we can say, right? Runoff is divided into two cases or two categories, that is surface runoff, and subsurface runoff, subsurface runoff. So this is into two categories, surface runoff and subsurface runoff. As you can see here, there are the two categories, surface runoff and subsurface runoff, right? Here you can see this. This is surface runoff, subsurface runoff. Now, we will try to understand what is this surface and subsurface runoff. So, this subsurface runoff, as I told you, subsurface means which is below the surface. If it is sea, if it is our surface of the earth, whatever the water which is flowing below the surface, this water is flowing, right? Which is below the surface. This is my surface. So this is called as subsurface, right? And whatever the flow which is occurring above the surface will be called as surface runoff. Surface runoff. Just you try to understand this. Actually, I'm not able to write properly. Surface runoff, right? Now, and this is subsurface runoff. So these are the two categories. So if again I will say that this subsurface runoff is of two category. What I told you, if the water is just near the surface, suppose here only within this region, very near the surface. So we say that that is the prompt interface, right? Prompt interface. But when this surface of when this water comes into depth, when it comes into very depth and it meets to the water table, this is a water table. Water Water table means what? If we will go below the surface of the earth in anywhere, so we get water like well. From well, how the water comes? So in the well, suppose there is some well. Well means, I think. So here if this water table meets to this, so you will see that there is the water in the well. So this water comes in the well because of the water table, right? So what happens when this water which is below the surface comes into very high depth and meets to the water table, then this is called as the base flow, right? This is called as base flow. So we can say that subsurface runoff is of two types. Is it clear to you? We can say that subsurface runoff. Is it clear? Student, is it clear? Yeah, so subsurface runoff. Subsurface runoff is of two category. We can say that is first is what? First is inter. This is uh, this prompt interface, and second one is base flow. Right. So here we can say the first category is the prompt interface, and second one is base flow. Right. Now, once it is clear, surface runoff and subsurface runoff. Now, one more term is there, and that is called as direct runoff. So here you will see this direct runoff, and this is the base flow. Now, what is direct runoff? So first of all, I will say what is direct runoff. Direct runoff means what? So direct runoff means it is the part of runoff which will meet to the river after, we can say, after some time, like within 2 to 4 days. For example, this is our Earth surface. What happened? Precipitation happened here. Precipitation occurred here, and you will see that there is a water in the river. Some part of water comes into the soil here, and this is just, see, some part of water will come here, somewhere here, and you will see that, you will not actually, you will see means it is already studied that after 2 to 4 5 days, whatever the water which is came here, whatever the water which is came here, it will meet to the river. So this water will, suppose this water will travel slowly, slowly, it will come here. This all, this whole water will come here and it meet to this river. This is my river. So this water will meet to the river. So this is called as direct. This is called as direct runoff. So direct runoff is the one of the, we can say it is one of the example uh, of the prompt plus subsurface, right? So direct runoff is, we can say, the runoff which will meet within 2 to 4 days to the river, right? Is it okay? What is direct runoff? Whatever the rainfall happened, so this whole water will come inside the soil, and this water will go, it will travel and it will meet to the river here within 2 to 4 days. Then this is called as the direct runoff. Is it okay? What is direct runoff? So the runoff which will meet after 2 to 4 days means after just 2 3 days. That is called as the direct runoff. And what is base flow? Base flow is the, now here what is base flow? Base flow I have already explained you, right? Base flow is the flow, we can say, which meets to the water table, right? Which meets to the water table and it comes in very high into the depth. So there is, I can say that the runoff, direct runoff, this is F, okay? This is OF, or if it is better, Uh, okay, there is some problem. Yes, direct direct runoff. Direct runoff, I will say that this direct runoff is equal to this direct runoff is equal to the prompt interflow prompt interface plus subsurface flow. See, this direct runoff is the summation of prompt interface, and I know you know this prompt interface is the infiltration, and this water will be just nearer to the surface of the earth. It will not go into depth. Plus subsurface flow, right? Plus, sorry, this prompt interface plus surface, sorry, prompt interface plus surface runoff. See, what I told you, direct runoff is, it is the combination, we can say it is the combination of surface runoff plus a prompt interface. See, this is our surface and some part of water is flowing here, right? And some part of water is just below the surface, but it is nearer to the surface. This is our bed, right? This is the bed. So this is what, this is surface runoff, and some part of water is here below the surface, that is prompt interface. Prompt interface. And when we will combine these two, then we will get the direct direct runoff. Is it okay? Direct runoff, is it okay? Whatever the water which is flowing, and it will meet, see, this is surface and this is river. Some part of water is flowing above the surface, some part of water is flowing below the surface. This is called as prompt interface, right? This is called as prompt interface, and this is called as surface runoff. When I will combine these two, I will get direct runoff, right? And both runoff will meet to the this river. This is a river, right? Both runoff will meet to the river. Here they will accumulate in the river, and from here it will also accumulate into the river. So when I will combine these two, when I will sum, then I will get the direct runoff. Is it okay? Direct runoff is okay now? Yeah, okay, very good. Now, see, but the what is the characteristic of this direct runoff? This direct runoff meets to the river within 2 to 4 days, we can say, or I can say within some day, in some time, within some time. But when we talk about the base flow, when we talk about the base flow, this base flow means water will flow and it will meet to the river maybe after 1 year, maybe after 6 months, right? Means it takes more time. Base flow takes more time to meet to the river, but this direct surface runoff and prompt interface means direct runoff, they generally meets to the river within 2 to 4 days, or maybe after some 1 week, right? Now, if you will see that, if you will see direct runoff definition, now direct runoff definition is clear, then you will see that this direct runoff is the sum of prompt interface plus surface runoff. Surface runoff. But you know that surface runoff is very huge quantity, very huge, right? And this prompt interface is very small quantity, right? If you will see that, you see, if you will see that this is your surface and this is the river, right? So you might have seen that most of the time, whatever the water flows over the surface, it is very big, very huge, right? Even this river overflow, right? This river overflow with this water. It means this surface runoff is very big, right? Huge. It is very huge, and this is prompt interface is very small. So we can say that if it is prompt interface is very small, and this surface runoff is very huge, so we can say that this prompt interface can be neglected. Means if it I will say that this prompt interface is almost equal to zero, for example, plus this surface runoff will be very high, so we can say that this direct runoff is equal to surface runoff, right? I think it is clear. So we can say that direct runoff is equal to surface runoff, because compared to the surface runoff, this prompt interface is very small. Hence, we can neglect this quantity, and we can say that is equal to direct runoff is equal to surface runoff. Now, Now, once it is okay, then I will come to another point, base flow. Base flow means what? What I told you. If this is my surface and this is the river, there is some water table, right? There is some water meets to this water table. See, when infiltration happens, so this water comes into very depth and it meets to the water table. Then we say that this is called as the base flow. Base flow. And again, what happened? And again, what happened? This water table meets to this river, right? So here it is the suppose river. Here it is river. So this water table meets to the river. So you might have seen that in the area where this even the ice is not available, but in that area you might have seen the river is filled with water, right? It is always means in 24 by 7 for the whole year. This river is flowing with water, even there is no glaciers. So what happens? Why they are continuously flowing in for the whole year? Even you might have seen that in some of the wadis, there are the water which is continuously flow. Even in Oman, you will see that if suppose there is a wadi, right? There is a wadi, and there will be some small rivers, right? There will be small, very small. They continuously flowing. Continuously means 365 days in the year, right? 365 days in the year they are flowing. So how they are flowing in the whole year? Because whatever the water is inside the whatever the water is inside the soil. See here, this is the soil, and this soil is filled with water, right? Suppose this portion is filled with water. Here, this portion is filled with water, right? If it is filled with water, so what happens? This soil contribute water to this river, and this will also contribute water to this river. Then you will observe that this river is totally flowing for whole 365 days, right? And because of this base flow. So base flow is the, we can say, water which goes into depth and meets to the water table, and that water table fills the uh, water to the river, right? So base flow, now base flow is clear, and we know that if I will add this base flow means whatever the water which is the the inside, and whatever the water which is above the surface means that is the direct runoff. So direct runoff. Above the surface there is direct runoff, and below the surface which is base flow. If I will this add this two term, if I will add this two term, then I will get my total. I will get my total runoff. Is this okay? This point is okay to all of you? This point is clear to all of you? Student, is this clear? Okay, now this one is clear. Now I will come to this. Yeah. So this is clear to you. Direct runoff is clear. Base flow is clear. Surface runoff, subsurface runoff is clear. Here this diagram is given. You can see this. So here you can see this base flow, right? If you will see that this is your base flow. And here percolation or interflow, you can see this is whatever this water which is below the surface, but it is nearer to the surface, very nearer. But when you will observe that this water which is in very high depth, it is very high at very high depth. Here this water is here and it is meeting to this river, right? Now again you can observe that some of the water which is collected in some ponds, or we can say at some holes, that is called as depression storage, and whatever the water which is flowing here it is overland flow. This is the process of entering water into the surface is percolation or infiltration, almost they are same. Now once if it is clear to you, then I come to next slide. Surface runoff. I have already cleared to you what is surface runoff, right? See, there is one more term. It is a combination of surface runoff is combination of overland flow and channel. Means there is one more we can say. This surface runoff is what he is saying. Suppose this is our surface of the earth, and whatever the precipitation is occurring here, right? So some part is coming on the earth. This is our earth, right? And here it is a river, right? So some part of the precipitation is directly coming onto the river, right? Directly coming means this precipitation is directly occurring over the river, and some of the precipitation comes on the surface of the earth, and then it comes to the river, and some part of the precipitation directly comes onto the surface of the river, right? So this is the same meaning, that is called as the surface runoff. Subsurface runoff I have already cleared. What is this? Interflow or in this overland flow, channel precipitation. This is the flow, overland flow, whatever the runoff, whatever the flow which is occurring over the land of the earth, right? So here this is see, this is our land, and whatever the flow is occurring here, that is called as overland flow. And channel precipitation, the precipitation falling on surface, water surface is called. It means what I told you, if the rainfall is directly occurring over the river, if this is directly coming onto the river, is called as the channel precipitation, right? Now direct runoff, base flow, I have already cleared to you. Now there are some factors which affect the runoff. Now it is very, very important. We can say, see, you might have seen that in some of the wadi in Oman, if a small rainfall occurs, it is filled with water very high, very means in very short period of time, that wadi fills water, and this water comes onto the river. If suppose there is a wadi, like there is a one hill, and between this there is a road is passing, suppose from here, right? This road is passing like this, and again there is some hilly area. So you might have observed that because of this, when rainfalls occurs, so sometimes this vehicle becomes, there are some vehicles, right? So what happens, this vehicle stops because of, the water comes from the this from the hilly area or from the slope immediately, and it goes somewhere here, right? It goes somewhere here. So these whole vehicles, they stop. So this is what, this is runoff. Runoff is coming, but runoff may be more, runoff may be small or less, right? It may be very huge, it may be very less, but how it can be? The question is how they can be very high or it can be very small runoff. So it depends on some factors. So what are those factors? So some of the factors are here given. So first of all, we will try to understand. First is climatic factor. Uh, Second one is physiographical factor. What is climatic factor means what? Climatic factor means it is associated with characteristics, such characteristics like type of precipitation. Obviously, if very heavy rainfall is occurring, like here, if suppose very heavy rainfall, this P, value of P is having with very high intensity I can say. If intensity of rainfall is more, so obviously this more, right? See, if this rainfall intensity, this P, that is rainfall, is occurring with very high intensity, if it is occurring with very high intensity, so what will happen? So more runoff will be occurred, right? This more runoff will be more. Next is what? Next factor is what? Rainfall intensity, then precipitation, what I told you, then rainfall duration. Yes, obviously, if this rainfall is continuously for one day, for example, but in Oman, I don't think that it happens. But in India, in Pakistan, in other countries, uh, if you will see the records, then you will find that the whole rainfall is occurring within, say, for one day or 2 day, or for 24 hours or for 48 hours. So then what happens when continuous rainfall occurs? So flood occurs, right? So one of the reason is what? Duration of the rainfall. If it is more, then more runoff will be generated, right? So duration of rainfall is also one of the factor which affects the runoff. Intensity of rainfall, type of precipitation, the antecedent precipitation means what? For example, see, this is the earth surface, right? And suppose already in the porous of the soil, see, this is the soil surface, and here suppose these are the particles of the soil. Just I am giving you an example, and there are some gaps. These gaps are there, right? But these gaps are already filled with water, means the water which is already present here, suppose here, at every places water is already filled, right? So what will happen when rainfall will occur? Whatever the water infiltration is there, this infiltration will be very small, right? This infiltration will be very small, and after some time what will happen? This runoff will occur. Means after very short period of time, the water which was going inside, it will be stopped, and it will the runoff will start very soon, because of already moisture is present in the soil. That is called as antecedent moisture. Antecedent precipitation means, or we can say antecedent already water which is present here. So because of that, the more runoff will be occur. Next is direction of storm movement. Yes, if it is the slopy area and direction is like uh, in the same direction rainfall is occurring, for example. Sometimes rainfall occurs in this direction, sometimes rainfall occurs directly like this, sometimes rainfall occurs in the same in the slope direction. Then what will happen? Because of this direction, again the runoff will be more, right? So this is actually the meaning. This is climatic factor. Next is a physiographic factor. So physiographic factor means which is related with some uh, physical characteristics. Like here, some of the characteristics is size of watershed. Size of watershed. I have already in the first or second lecture, I think I have told you what is watershed, right? So if the size of the watershed is big, then more runoff will be occurred. See simple how it will be mathematically see. Just I say that this is say Oman map, right? And again, if I take some another country, like for example here India, see. So India is having more area. Area of India is very big compared to this area of suppose Oman. This is area of Oman. Means what? If more area, if area is more, then it will generate or it will contribute more water. See, whatever the waters, if 10 mm rainfall is occurring here, and I say this area of Oman is say for example 10,000 kilometer square, right? So if I will multiply this area of this land with the depth of rainfall, with depth of rainfall, if I will multiply depth of rainfall with area, then what will be what I will get? I will get volume. So see means what? If area is more, this volume will be more. Volume will more means runoff will be more. If so here if India area of India is very big, so what will happen? If more area will be multiplied by this depth, then we will get more volume. Is it okay? Is this okay to you? Now, next is orientation of watershed. Orientation means what? How its shape looks, right? The see, generally, if we'll see some of the watershed will be like this. Some of the it is just like leaves of the tree, right? And you might have seen the leaves of the trees of different types, right? Some of the leaves will be like this, right? We can say shape or orientation. Orientation means we can say some its slope or something. Yeah, so this is one of the orientation is which generates more runoff or less runoff. Then slope of the watershed. Slope of the watershed means what? If hilly region is there, see if this is surface and if hilly region is there, rainfall occurs. So what will happen? Very small amount of water will come into the soil and most of the water will flow here, right? Because of what? Because of this slope, this theta angle. They have this theta angle is having more slope means more runoff. So we can say that slope runoff is proportional to slope, right? Is it okay to all of you? Is it okay? Next is the land use. Land use means for which type of land is this, or which type of, for which use, what is the use of that land, or whatever the cover on the land is there. See, if simply on this is simple ground, there is no there are the two types of ground. First ground, this is simple plain ground, right? And second one is, suppose there are the some number of trees are here, like forest or something. So this is open a plain ground, and this one is what? This is a forest. So when rainfall occurs, see, rainfall is occurring here, say P, this rainfall. So what will, some part of water will go inside the soil, and most of the water will flow here, that is runoff. But see here, actually there are the number of trees or forests. So what happens? There are the roots of the trees, right? So these roots of the trees, once what happens, this rainfall occurs, most of the water which is infiltrated is captured by these roots, right? Roots of the trees. So means land use means which type of land is this. If it is only plain ground, so more runoff will be there. If it is a forest, then runoff will be very, very less, right? So this is the meaning of land use. Now next is soil type. Obviously, if soil is very good, like there are suppose two types of soil, right? First is say sand, and second one is say another type of soil, say is clay. So you might have seen that once this water goes into the sand, it continuously absorbs this water. Means more quantity of water can be, more water can be absorbed by the sand, and very small quantity of water can be absorbed by the clay, right? So more water and less water means what? So because of the type of soil, because of the type of soil, this runoff will vary. If type of soil is very good, means if it is, suppose if it is here only sand is here, sand is here, whatever the rainfall is occurring, so most of the water will come inside into the soil. Most of the water will come inside the soil, right? And very small runoff will be there. But if it is suppose another type of soil, say clay soil is there, so most of the water will, runoff will be very high, and infiltration, this infiltration will be very less, right? Is it okay to you? Is it okay? Now next, what is type of drainage network? Yes, drainage network means what? See, if suppose this is the map of the Oman, and here you will observe that rivers are very, very less, means drainages are very less. See, this is drainage or river. River means drainage just almost same. It is a small difference there. So if it is more drainage network, network means number of, see, this is river, then again there are the one river is meeting to this, then again one river is meeting to this one, then another river is meeting to this one, then there are the number of rivers meeting to this one. It means what? It means the drainage network is very good. But if we will see some other network, only one river is there, one river is meeting here, another is here, only one and one here. It means what? This drainage network is, we can say, not good, right? So if more drainage is there, so runoff will be more. So drainage network must be good, and if it is more, then runoff will be more. Then shape of the catchment. What I told you, catchment is of different shape. Some of the catchment is like this. Some of the catchment is like this one, right? So it depends on the shape. See, if catchment is like very long, so what will happen? Whatever the rainfall occurred here, suppose here, it will take more time to travel and it will to reach at this point, end point. And if it is like this shape, so whatever the rainfall will occur at the end, it will reach here at this point very early, right? So the time to travel the water particle from the one point to another point will be very less in this shape. But in this shape, in long shape, this time will be more time, right? It will take more time. So this shape affects to the runoff. So I hope it will be clear to you. We will see in the next lecture. Is it okay? We will see in the next lecture. Okay, here I stop.